So Dana, a long time ago, you remember when we had a very depressing talk about adulthood and like how certain things don't seem to hit like they usually did back when you were a kid, like Christmas, holidays, so on.
How
and so forth.
the childlike light in our eyes just slowly dissipates over time.
Like,
yeah. Very familiar with that feeling.
We've had another.
I countenance it on a daily basis.
We've had another incident. I don't know if you're aware.
What happened?
But it has been Shark Week all week long.
I think so, because I think HBO is trying to push it on their app, and I see what's his face, Aquaman,
Momoa,
Jason
Momoa.
Yeah, so they're bringing in the big guns to try to like
trying to sexy it up,
trying to zhuzh up some Shark Week.
Anyway, I mean, I got to tell you, it used to be like the cherry on top of
highlight of your summer,
right? The cherry on top of my summer. Of course, it always came like after it ended, like. School was right around the corner.
Oh yeah,
but at least you had that fucking
back
week of just
to
like
school clothes and
man.
trapper keeper shopping.
Sharks, like you're just gonna watch great whites just fucking murk seals for a whole week, and you're gonna be like, and
you're gonna be like, yeah.
If only it was Quentin again. If only he could die twice. No, anyway, spoiler alert. Sorry if you haven't seen Jaws yet. Anyway, the past couple of years, like. I don't know if we've jumped the shark. I know.
You see what he did there?
When the shark jumped out of the water, literally. Like when they started getting like recordings of like the great whites jumping out, that was like...
Yeah.
That was like the ending scene of Fast and Furious with all the explosions and lightning. And
or like when they go to space.
Right. Like when... We gotta go heist in space, whatever. But the sharks in space or Sharknado, I don't know. I'm losing the plot here. But what I'm saying is like they've gone so far with Shark Week, it's like it's numbed me to any shark shit that happens. It's like like what they're doing with the X-rated content that I've heard is on the internet nowadays. It's just gone so far. It's just like, can I just get a mom and pop, just a regular old scene? But anyway. I'm not going to delve too far into that.
It's kind of like that thing that your dad always says that I still disagree with, but I kind of see where he's coming from about the NBA. He's like, oh, well, they all just like stand there and dunk flat-footed. So like, where's the athleticism? Who cares?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with him necessarily.
All right.
I mean, there's still very few that can just like stand there and, tippy toes and dunk it. But it's kind of the same thing that you're getting at.
This I've only watched one episode and they just like modeled some like floatable. Again, it's devolved into the weirdest like, can we make this contraption to get closer to like this? You've already shoved a camera down its throat and gone through its entire GI tract and it shit it out a while ago. Like we've been through the shark. Like how much closer you want to get? Anyway, they designed this thing to look like a goddamn dead whale. And this guy's in like this little belly thing, but it has like this little opening, like a belly gunner in like one of the bombers, like the 40s. And so he's got this little thing, and they've got chum buckets, and they're trying to get a huge monster, like whale carcass feeding thing. And then they deploy this like blood through its head to make it look like it burst out all of its fucking innards, which is what happens when a dead whale carcass goes. So they're doing all this shit. I'm like, it's cool, but it's been done. Like, how many different ways can you serve me a burger? Like, how many different ways? And I guess the cool thing about that episode was like there were divers in the water that almost got eaten.
So really what we're looking for from David for Shark Week is for people to die.
I'm saying I'm numb to it until next year when they're gonna go, okay, we've been playing foreplay with you guys for long enough. You want to see a guy get eaten?
We're tired of seeing the like dramatizations of a guy that maybe got eaten once or something.
Just feed a criminal to a fucking shark, all right? Let's spice up these executions.
Yeah.
Like that's a hell of a deterrent. Like, oh, what are you gonna do? Put a little fucking warm liquid into my arm and I go, huh, and then fall asleep after I murdered 6 people? No, bitch. We're gonna slime you up with some fucking chum and you're gonna be Shark Week de jour. We're gonna just send you out there with the Grady's. With the white sharks.
Listen,
that's high quality cinema. And it's not like we're that far away from it nowadays. Look where our society is at now.
Oh yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. The faster we move towards idiocracy, I don't think that your idea there is that
not
far off.
I'm telling you, they've been flirting with it for a while. Like I remember back in high school, I watched a guy get his calf bitten off by a bull shark on Shark TV or Shark Week. That was pretty fucking. It's like, what? Did they just show that? They're like, yeah, he just got his calf bitten off. Like, oh, gnarly. Anyway, so I think that next week, Shark Week, let's talk. That's all I'm saying.
David's got ideas.
I got some ideas.
Yeah, he's an ideas man. He thrives on enthusiasm.
Anyway, with that heartless plug for Shark Week producer out of my system, which will then revive me with Shark Week fandom, I guess I would say. You want to get into the topics, Dan?
Let's do it.
Okay. Meme destruction. Grooming isn't just for pets anymore. It's cool for kids too.
Gross.
Interesting. Culture Corner. I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? No, you can't.
CDC says you can't.
No, wait and find out.
The science says you
the
can.
The science. Epstein didn't kill himself. Tafari Campbell. Did I pronounce that right?
I believe so. Tafari. Yes. I mean, phonetically, that seems to be correct to me. So
okay. Tafari Campbell just got Clintoned.
Or move over, Epstein. There's a new Epstein in town.
Interesting. I wonder if he's running an entire pedophile gambit.
Probably not.
But
I think the suspicion surrounding his death is at least as suspicious, if not more, than
it was suspiciously
the
suspicious.
namesake of the segment.
What you're saying, it was super suspicious. Okay. Right. And then the main topic, as with all of us, hearts and minds with the subs and the aliens and such. But with all of the subs and aliens in the media, who has time for a Ponzi scheme and high treason? We have to know about these aliens.
Of course, that we were told not to know about for a long time, and apparently now all at the same time we're supposed to know about.
Nanu. Anyway, with all that being said, Dane, you want to jump in?
Let's do it. Welcome to Weapons and Meme Destruction Podcast, episode 156, which can be found at wmdpodcast.com/156. You can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction, and you can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. I believe every segment is safe for YouTube this week. So,
hey,
YouTube viewers, stick around. But still go like and subscribe over at those other two just so that you don't get lost in the sauce when we have to self-censor later so that we don't lose this here channel. So with that being said, David, we're jumping into the meme segment this week, and we are talking about habitual offender, meme page on Facebook. I think they're on multiple social media sites, but I see them on Facebook. The other 98%. And
what does that stand for again?
I think it's a play on words with the bullshit about the 2008 financial collapse, which, again, not poo-pooing that. Yes, the common man was screwed to the benefit of the politically connected bankers. Yes, that's all true. But as is often the case with brain-dead socialists, they are very good at identifying a problem and then prescribing the exact wrong thing that's going to kill the patient. So their solution to a massive collapse in 2008.
The witless Kevorkian, so to speak.
Yes. Their grand solution to government bailing out all of these politically connected rich cronies that they complain about, justifiably so, is to give more power to that very same government. I don't understand what goes through these people's heads. Probably nothing. If you listen real closely, you can hear the whistling of air from one ear to the other. But yeah, that's how smart these people are. And so that's why they're always repeat offenders on this here podcast.
Yeah, if you put your ear up to their ear, you hear the sound of the ocean.
Yeah. Hashtag
no,
facts.
I mean, how often do we say on this podcast that the only problem with the government and their their spending is the fact that they just don't have enough to spend.
Of course.
So we have to give them more.
The problem with big government is there's not enough of it.
Right. You need it bigger.
Correct.
You need it in every aspect of your
Correct.
life. Which means that the government should be able to tell you what your kids get taught, not you.
Of course.
Being told what your kids are taught.
Right.
So in this new world of fandangled language, they've over the past couple of years, they've gone from calling us, anybody that disagrees with them, Nazis.
Of course. Racist.
Racist is a fun
bigots.
one.
Well, actually, racist is kind of starting to go on its way out because it's like so tired at this point. Racist has, I almost said the other one. Racist is now
those wascally wabbits
is now replaced with white supremacy. See, that's why I messed up.
That's the new fun one.
Yeah, that's the new racist.
When you start dragging it out and adding consonants to it, then it hits a little different.
Exactly. So, so what did the other 98% say this week? This week they had a little, what is it, quote, phrase, whatever you want to call it, and it says this, quote, calling everything you don't like grooming diminishes the real meaning of grooming and puts kids at risk. And I chuckled to myself under my breath and then subsequently out loud because that is the exact line of logic. And that logic is coherent. This, give credit where it's due. They finally had a coherent thought for once. But this is the thing that everybody who's not a brain dead leftist has been telling them about the words that we just talked about. Racism, bigotry, fascism, white supremacy. When you use this word to apply to everything, right? It's like everyone who disagrees with me is a Nazi. Well, then then the term has no more meaning anymore. Because yes, there are real dyed-in-the-wool white supremacists or racists out there that genuinely believe that because you have white skin, you are somehow superior to non-whites and yada, yada, yada. And those people do exist. There's a very small number of them, and they're not near the problem that these people claim they are, but they do exist. So how are we supposed to, as a society, when our words mean nothing anymore, identify somebody like that and say, that is truly a white supremacist when everybody else is called the same thing and we can't differentiate between the two?
And isn't this coming from the same side that thinks that it's totally okay for children to be chemically castrated and have double mastectomies and stuff like that before they're saying that's part of it?
Well, as a matter of fact, I think if you oppose that right. makes you a racist, bigot, white supremacist, or Nazi.
I guess my question is, when have they started giving a fuck about the health of your kids?
About 5 minutes ago.
Until this specific. And then we did that story about New Jersey where they introduced some of their curriculum and had a 4,000% up
increase in non-binary identifying grade school students in a period of about 3 years. Yeah.
So, and then we've seen some of the literature, if you want to call it that, that's been bestowed upon first and second graders being very, very close to pornography, if not the exact definition of it. So I'm trying to work through where they're trying to protect the children exactly.
Yeah, they're not. I know that comes as a shocker to anybody that's not.
That's what I was thinking,
cult,
but I just wanted to hear somebody else say it.
But yeah, I mean, listen, we could go down the laundry list of things that this group of individuals would support and say, that's not grooming. That's not grooming. Yeah, okay. Technical definition of the word grooming is, you have an adult that has an underage child that, yes, they're not touching or doing things to now, but they sort of lead them down the primrose path of, well, maybe you kind of like me and maybe it's okay to do these touches and maybe yeah, that's technical grooming. So is indoctrinating kids in second grade into, the LGBTQ, alphabet ideology. Is that technically grooming? I mean, it's not as hands-on, no pun intended, as an individual grooming a specific child to do things that the adult should not be doing with a child. But I mean, it's not a million miles removed. And so, yeah, if you're going to call that out and say, I don't think that this is an appropriate subject matter for second graders, that doesn't make you their other catch-all terms, a fascist, a Nazi, a white supremacist, blah, blah, blah. That just makes you somebody who held the opinion that almost everybody held like 5 seconds ago.
But if you hold that opinion and you have a skin in Call of Duty, you don't have to wait 2 seconds for it to get removed.
Exactly.
Or just saying protect the kids, which they're trying to do now. So,
the outrage over some words, in this case, grooming, while they continue to ignore the line of logic that they're trying to make with this very tweet or comment or whatever the case may be, really is, they tell on themselves. That's kind of the big theme that we always come back to.
This seems to be an overarching
these people are
point
telling on themselves.
On this episode. Yeah. It seems to be, there's a lot of people protesting too loudly about certain things.
Yeah. They don't get upset per se about other things that you'll accuse them of, but grooming, that really sets them off.
Whoa.
So
it's like a liar being confronted with the truth. They don't like to hear that very often.
Yeah. Which of course is the same thing they'll say about calling us racist and white supremacists and everything else.
Yeah. Well, I'm already a racist. Remember, I hate bikers. So I was racist there. And once you're out, once people know what you are, it's so freeing. You don't have to hide anymore, If you think that kids shouldn't be taught this or shouldn't be talking to adults about this kind of shit, just come out of the closet as a racist, or what do we call him now?
No, white supremacist.
White supremacist, or a
bigot, Nazi,
a
fascist.
Nazi, fascist. Yeah. Will you just be one of us? Because I think probably 90% of America would be classified as their little go-to words.
Yeah,
but anyway,
exactly.
All that being said.
So, with that being said, we're moving on to the Culture Corner segment now, and we're talking about the CDC. You remember the science people?
I've got a new slogan for them.
What's that?
Got milk? We can help.
I think the milk industry or whoever has that slogan copyright might have some things to say to you about that.
No.
Hear the knock at the door?
Talk to the fucking CDC. It didn't want me. I'm not the one with the milk mustache.
So anyway, the CDC, the institution, well, domestically, because obviously we had international institutions like the World Health Organization or the UN and the World Economic Forum and all of those. But here in the United States, allegedly, the CDC is the gold standard of science. If Dr. Fauci was science, if his name was synonymous with science, if he was the high priest,
he's the deity of it.
Yeah, the god of science. Then the CDC, then he is the metaphorical Zeus of science, and the CDC is just like the other undergods of Zeus of science. You cannot ever debate with the CDC on anything science related because
they are the science.
Don't you know that all of their brilliant, completely science-guided, non-political opinions are forcibly funded with tax dollars that are stolen from you against your will. So that makes them honorable and truthful and never wanting to mislead you.
The more you know.
So with that background of how great the CDC is, let's check in on how the CDC is doing post-COVID. Title from the New York Post. Quote, CDC gives guidance for trans people, quote, chest feeding kids accused of failing to consider possible health risks.
First question.
Hit us, David.
What's chest feeding, Dane? I've heard of breastfeeding. What's chest feeding?
Yes, chest feeding is the new Orwellian inclusive word.
Oh, we have to include men and women.
Because men, of course, don't have breasts.
I seem to remember a Family Guy episode that was way ahead of its time, where Peter drunkenly walks into baby Stewie's room, holds him up to his chest, and Stewie starts suckling and then wakes up. He was asleep and then pulls out like a man hair. Is horrified. Maybe Nameless Faceless Guy can throw a clip up of that if it's not too much trouble. But that's what I envision when I hear a man or biological male putting a baby up to their chest. That seems like grooming to me, which makes me a racist, apparently.
Yes.
Damn it.
Yes. And
doubly racist
and
now.
all of the other scary buzzwords that are meant to scare you into silence.
But let's just say this sentence out loud, just like for a little A sociological experiment. I'm just going to say a sentence and I want you just to react to it. The man placed the baby against his nipple and forced it to suckle. How does that make you feel?
Not that I'm listening to anything backed by science.
It makes me feel pretty gross.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like that shouldn't happen ever because it shouldn't happen ever. But please, Dane,
Yeah.
the CDC says it's healthy for you.
Yeah. So the CDC's website, in a section called, quote, health equity considerations, has declared, quote, that transgender and non-binary gendered individuals may give birth and breastfeed or feed at the chest, parentheses, chest feed. Now, the CDC has been called out not for issuing guidance saying that biological males can have their offspring feed at their chest, but because the CDC failed in the guidance that they did issue to bring up any potential warnings that could be harmful to the child if, say, for example, the what would it be? The transgender woman, so biological male
going to woman
that is taking hormones to grow breast tissue. There's potential problems because in those drugs there are chemicals, and just like any mother will tell you, any actual real mother, a biological woman,
not a birthing person, mother,
is that their doctors, tell them, are you going to breastfeed? Okay, then here's the things you need to be cautious of. Maybe here's the foods to avoid. Maybe here's when you don't drink alcohol for a certain period of time before you feed and all of that kind of stuff, because there could be potential harmful side effects passed to the baby from the mother's milk. So real, actual biological women, real mothers, are warned by their doctors about the potential dangers to their children if they ingest some chemicals that can go to the breast milk. But the CDC has precisely nothing to say to biological males playing dress up and pretending to be females that are taking drugs that can be obviously passed to the child. I don't know what sort of science is guiding that guidance. It sounds to me to be completely politically motivated, and that the government, the regime as it were, has decided that this is a group that they want to uphold and support, regardless of popularity one way or the other. And they don't want to be guided by science at all. It's all political agenda. It's all, we need to support this thing for purposes of equity and everything else, and consequences to the innocent newborn child be damned.
Well, see, that last sentence makes me think that the 5 minutes from the meme destruction is over now, and they're back to not caring about the health of the children anymore.
Yeah.
Because I can only imagine if you introduce a drug into a biological male's system that then causes him to lactate, I can't imagine that drug's not going to come with a ass load of side effects, or a tit load, or whatever the hell you want to call it. And then, like you said, with those side effects and that chemical within their bloodstream and within their system, how could that not get passed to the baby? And chemicals in a baby that shouldn't be in a baby are usually detrimental to a baby. So I guess that 5 minutes has been up for the last 2 minutes at least.
Well, unless whoever the pharmaceutical companies are that are producing these pills to make a biological male lactate, whatever that lactation ends up being. I can't imagine it's actually milk, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Unless those companies got the same sort of exemption from liability that, I don't know, the V word companies over the last few years with the C word virus
that came out with the J word
is unless they got the same qualified, or sorry, not qualified, unless they got the same immunity from lawsuit as those companies did. I can see the headline now. Late night, 2:00 in the morning, you see the infomercial. Did your mother, father take this drug and then chest feed you while you were an infant,
You may be
call
entitled.
us now. You may be entitled to
Well,
monetary
compensation.
relief. You may be entitled to compensation.
Compensation. It's like, I mean, side note, we did get a pretty fucking cool word out of those commercials. Mesothelioma. Like that's serious. It's like a Schlotsky's. Funny name, serious sandwich. Funny name, serious disease.
Nobody outside of the Midwest United States is going to know what that is. I don't know where Schlotsky's footprint is, but
I don't know. I don't think it expands very far.
I guarantee you none of our Florida colleagues
guess what?
will know what Schlotsky's
You're
is.
never going to forget that slogan.
It is a funny name and it is a serious sandwich.
Oh, those are some pretty killer sandwiches.
And that is a solid slogan.
I mean,
As a matter of fact,
I'm a big. We should
I would
open
like a
up.
Schlotsky's.
I would like a Schlotsky's right now. I'd have it with you.
Yeah.
Fuck.
It's pretty good.
God damn it.
Anyway,
I'm hungry for Schlotsky's.
You know, as if you needed another reminder coming out of the other side of the C word years that we're not allowed to talk about. If you needed any more reminders that institutions like the CDC are not to be listened to on anything, and when I say anything, I say that in the exact definition meaning of the word, it is without exclusion. There is nothing that the CDC ever tells you that you should ever follow in any respect, ever.
It's a pretty hard stance to take. I would just say, like, never take them at their word. Like, always do your own research, and if you come to the conclusion that you should do that, do that.
I mean, in a perfect world, the institution would be completely abolished.
Because you can't go the other. You can't go totalitarian either, Dane. Now you're being a king. You're forcing your views
No,
upon.
I'm giving advice. I'm not saying you can't do it.
I'm just saying do your.
I'm not saying like if you follow the CDC's advice, I'm gonna come to your house and beat you over the head.
Would it be a funny?
I'm saying it's in your best interest
if you
to
think it's
not
going to
listen
be
to
funny
these
to
people.
prank your entire family at Thanksgiving, and you want to start taking these drugs to lactate, hey Ma, check this out. And start spraying all your fucking family members. That'll spice up Turkey Day for you.
Yeah, do whatever you want. As we always say, you're an adult. Just don't try to chest feed your nephews.
Don't you force that milk into my mouth, goddammit.
Yeah, that's right.
Or whatever it is.
So
Your male lactation. Ugh.
So, with that being said, on to the Epstein segment, and dare I say, move over, Epstein. You got some competition.
It's about time, you know? I was so tired of the Clintons. Like, can't we get somebody else that murders people that they disagree with?
The new we're going to change the name of this segment. We're really not. But we're going to change the name of this segment to Tafari Campbell did not
Just
kill
for this
himself. Or die accidentally or anything else like that. We're going out on a bit of a limb here. As this story is obviously not that old. And so as it develops, maybe we'll find some stuff out. Chances are we won't. I mean, what are the Clintons up to? Like 60 close associates dying under suspicious circumstances. So this is,
Right.
only the handful into the Obamas, death count. So, maybe we'll never find out about it. And they're as good at distancing themselves from suspicious deaths as the Clintons have been over the years. But for those of you who did not hear the news this week, it is sad news. Always remember, on this podcast, we punch up, not down. We are not mocking Tafari Campbell. We are not in any way besmirching his name, and we empathize with him and his family in his untimely passing. I think he was in his early to mid 40s, very young guy. We are punching up and saying that, tinfoil hat time, which usually just means that we get the story out about 6 months ahead of time, is him dying may have had something to do with people a little bit more powerful. Tafari Campbell was a sous chef in the Obama White House. And when the Obamas left in 2016, he moved into their personal residence. I don't know if he actually moved in, but with his chef services. And he became the Obama's personal chef. He was out paddleboarding, and I've seen reports that it was as shallow as 8 feet of water. And some witnesses saw him fall off the paddleboard and struggle in the water before he eventually went underwater. A 2-day investigation ensued, and then they eventually found his body. He had passed away from drowning, allegedly. And yeah, very sad story. But as David and I said, Tafari Campbell did not kill himself or drowned accidentally.
No, the water in his lungs did.
Yeah.
And
I mean, technically.
and the lack of air.
Scientifically speaking.
The lack of,
I mean, the CDC might say his lungs caught on fire.
It's a very Tom Cruise-esque thing to say. I didn't kill him. The bullets in the fall killed him. It's like, well, came out of your gun. Anyway, so again, I was kind of like, I was poo-pooing this. And it's like, okay, so he drowned. Unfortunate. Until you said that he was about to write a tell-all book. Then all of a sudden there becomes, what do they call that in lawyer school where you'll go?
Circumstantial evidence?
No, it's called starts with the
motive.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
You just had to beat you over the head.
It sounded like you knew it, even though you didn't go to lawyer school.
I was softballing it in there for you, fucking constable.
Well, you could have said it even if you didn't go to lawyer school.
I'm not allowed to, Dan.
No.
I'll get sued.
You're not allowed to say words.
I don't need the National Association of Lawyers coming after me.
Yeah,
that sounds like
it is quite the cartel.
Quite the Justice League, if I could say that. Hey guys, I'm cool. Anyway. So yeah, I guess that motive kind of changes everything. And then I like what we say on the podcast. Again, we got a couple of sayings. You should stick around and learn some of them if you haven't already. There's no such thing as government and coincidence, only the illusion of coincidence. So usually when things like this happen and you drive out into a field that you've never been in your entire life and bring a table with you and an extension cord and a shotgun and shoot yourself in the chest with the extension cord wrapped around your neck, you probably didn't do it by yourself. You remember that fun little story, Dane?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember we had a nice little chuckle over the idea of a Fisher-Price table, and
it got dark pretty quick.
It did.
I remember that it was one of the good times on this podcast. But no, it just seems to
I feel like we have a good time every episode.
I didn't say that. I said one of.
Hater.
I did.
Anyway.
And I'm supposed to be the jovial one. Anyway. Go ahead, Dane. You seem like you had something to say. You're doing a little sleuthing over there. What else you got?
I was just I have the Google page open that has a bunch of different headlines about the story, and you won't be shocked to hear that the mainstream media sources are already running interference for asking any questions. Now, listen, I'm not going to presume to say how I would want it handled in this situation. I'm not a part of the Campbell family. I can only speak for myself in saying that if my family member died under suspicious circumstances and they were working for, closely related to, or otherwise associated with a powerful person who I know, and anybody with two eyeballs and a set of ears can tell you that the powerful have a completely different set of justice from the rest of us. The investigations into things that happen around them are not the same as the investigations that would happen around us, say if a close associate of ours happened to go missing or passed away, and 10 people weren't standing there to see how it happened and that we had nothing to do with it. I would ask some questions, and I would want my questions answered if that was my family member. Now, I can also understand the point of view that it's already high profile enough, and you don't want your family member dragged through the headlines or anything else like that. But I will say that ship has sailed. I mean, when you are the personal chef for a former president, that's just the hand. That's the way the game is played. Your passing is going to make much more headlines than a regular old Joe Blow. So listen, I don't again, and I tried to at the beginning of this segment say that this is not to cast any aspersions on Mr. Campbell or his family or anything else like that. We have empathy for them.
Condolences.
But I feel like, as much as I may not be entitled to have this opinion, it is still my opinion that when individuals closely associated to very powerful people die under suspicious circumstances, any and every question is open for debate and should be asked. Especially as reports have have come out that he was writing a book. Now, again, some have labeled it kind of more salaciously a tell-all book. I don't know what was in the book. I haven't seen a manuscript. I don't know that anybody else has seen a manuscript of what was in the book. But to the extent that a book was being written, and maybe it was just a cookbook of everything that he had cooked for the Obamas. But something tells me that if there was something in that book that wasn't supposed to come out, David's favorite word of the episode, motive. So ask the questions, and whatever you do, don't let the powerful off the hook just because the mainstream media says, I got this one from NBC News. Obama's chef conspiracy theories get a boost on Twitter, now X, because, Twitter's being rebranded as X, but...
What?
Yeah, you didn't hear about that?
No.
Elon's changing the name of Twitter to X. It's now just called X.com.
All right.
Yeah. You didn't know that?
No.
It's a true story.
I don't spend much time on social media.
He should.
Really?
For this episode.
Seems like a great place to be.
I mean.
Totes Malotes.
No,
fun.
it's a total cesspool, but that's where we get the content, bro.
Gotta wade through the fucking sewage that is... social media.
So,
well, with all that being said, and speaking of, the justice bestowed upon them is not the same justice that's bestowed upon us. Let's just push that aside and let's talk about submarines and depth levels and how much oxygen some people should have and what different kinds of submarines that could possibly go down to see the Titanic and how long a submarine without control could you know what? If that's not interesting enough, let's talk about aliens. That's got to be pretty interesting, right? Everybody that's been talking about that for the last 50 years has been called a nut job. He got anally probed, did you? Oh, you saw some weird shit in the sky. Oh, okay. Why don't you smoke another doobie there, pothead? But now it's all over the news media. It's like it's almost like there was nothing else to talk about, right? Nothing else happened over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, nothing of consequence on this planet.
Nothing. How's FTX doing nowadays?
Yeah.
I haven't heard about them in a while.
Nothing like a multi-billion-dollar fraudulent Ponzi scheme or scam or whatever you want to call it.
What about high treason? What about high treason?
Yeah,
would that be something you would want to cover during this time?
Listen, David, nothing like, the son of a president having connections and ties and business deals with foreign adversaries.
Where he also implies his father.
Striking up deals, using his father as leverage to get to coerce payments from those countries. Nothing like that. Those stuff doesn't happen, David. David, if you think that stuff happens, okay, you're a conspiracy theorist.
I need to go start a podcast and talk about it?
You're a conspiracy theorist.
You need to go start a podcast and talk about it.
Yeah. Take your tinfoil hat off, David. Okay? Bad things don't happen to good people, and we're good people.
This isn't a movie. Nobody does that shit, Dane.
So, yes, while over the last few weeks, and we know the submarine story is a bit dated at this point.
In a yellow submarine.
But,
living is
at this point, the submarine story has been played out. And so, what has the media and the whistleblowers testifying in front of Congress have now transferred your attention to aliens? After 50 years of plugging it up and like as David was saying, calling everybody who talked about it crazy and everything else like that, now the government seems suspiciously enthusiastic about spilling everything that they know about aliens. That
have they contacted
they want it all
you?
To come out all at the same time now.
Have they contacted you?
The aliens? Yeah, I've been abducted three times.
No, the government.
Oh.
Now that you're an expert on aliens because he spent his entire month off watching all the aliens when I told him not to do that shit.
The alien movies. I wasn't watching all the aliens, David. There's a lot of aliens.
Oh, yeah. You'd have to
There's the Anunnaki. There's the Greys. There's the
owl-looking ones.
The other people.
The fucking those things that they recorded in Mexico or wherever the fuck it was.
Yeah, I'm pretty aliened out.
Yeah, well, you seem like a sexpert on it, so maybe you should go and help them identify some of it.
Hey, listen, that's what happens when you get abducted. No.
I can't remember his goddamn name. Damn it. Anyway, the guy that went to Area 51 and is telling all the people about it.
Bob Lazar.
There you go. Grab Lazar and get to the fucking Capitol immediately.
Yeah. So anyway, while you were being distracted by all those headlines, and see, here's the thing that frustrates me about it.
Did you not feel like it was happening? By the way, again, not to take you off track, but like, did you not feel like it was happening?
But to take me off track.
No, but it's on the point. Like, did you? Because I got that feeling like, why are we talking about a submarine? Like, what's happening? I give a fuck about 4 people. No offense, it's a tragedy, kind of. But like, this feels dumb. And then they have this alien thing this week. I'm like, I feel like you're doing something on purpose this time.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, that's the thing that frustrates me about it. Is
how
because,
stupid do you think I am? Like,
is because just as a matter of probability, it's highly likely that there is other intelligent life in the universe. Now, it's an open question as to whether or not that life has the technological capability to come here. And even if they did have it, that they would waste their time doing it. Like, they would obviously need a purpose because it's a highly resource intensive thing.
Watch this 4 aliens movies and he's fucking expert over here.
So anyway, all the way up until the last, couple months when the government really went gangbusters on the whole alien thing, which we're getting to the point of what they're really trying to distract you from here in a second, it's highly likely that it is. But now that they are so over the top with wanting to push everything aliens in your face all at the same time, it's like, now I don't even think that any aliens ever came here. And it's not just
but hold on, my question is, why did you need the government to tell you that they exist for you to believe in them or not?
No, I don't.
Well, no, that's my point, though.
I believed in them when the government was telling me that they didn't.
Yeah, I was like, exactly.
I'm pretty sure they do.
How fucked are we? Like, maybe we're right where they want us to be, because we're like, I believe in aliens because the government doesn't. They're like, hey, aliens are real. It's like, fuck you, no, they're not.
And listen,
what's wrong with me?
Listen, that's not just us being, like anti-government contrarians. I mean, yes, we are anti-government.
That's exactly what we're doing right now. But we're usually right when we do it. All right, God damn it.
Well, listen, when you are a contrarian to the one institution that is incentivized to get things wrong, because the more they get things wrong, the more their budgets grow, I think you're on pretty sound footing to be contrary to that particular institution.
But isn't that the weirdest fucking world that we live in? That we live in a place that, like, all of our leaders come out and say something, we're like, fuck you, no it isn't. Like, I don't believe you. And only the times where they're like, that's not true. It's like, I think it's true because look, he's sweating right there. Why are you sweating?
So anyway, we're doing 2 and 2 here. The submarine, even though it's a little bit dated, and then now the aliens, two
same playbook.
It's
the same
big stories to distract you from probably important things that are really going on, which we alluded to with some very thick sarcasm at the beginning of this segment. Is the first thing is the Hunter Biden story, and over the last couple weeks, we've seen, what the heck's her name? Jean-Pierre.
Oh, God.
What's her last name? Anyway, the White House press secretary.
She's god-awful. Like,
she is terrible.
And it's the media kind of seemed like they were turning on her, too. Because, like,
they are.
One of them asked about Hunter, and then she goes, I'm not going to discuss his family. When it's, let's not forget, it's slightly ironic that they just spent the last 4 years that Trump was in office trying to get Donald Jr. on anything that they could, talking about his family ties, talking about his nefarious business deeds with other people that he's still making money on and might use his presidency to get into. So let's not forget that as well, Dane. Continue.
Well, the thing that's frustrating about the whole thing is they literally went to no end to trump up, no pun intended, and, fabricate stuff like the Steele dossier, completely fabricated. And anybody who was, had 2 brain cells left to rub together could see that thing was a complete forgery and fabrication, and that there was no connection to be able to support the allegations that were being made in the Trump-Russia collusion.
Paid for by the Clinton Foundation.
They went to no end to try to get all of that to stick. And yet, Hunter Biden's laptop has shown pictures of him committing felonies. There are voicemails where he's talking to representatives in the Chinese government saying, my dad's sitting right here and he's wondering where the check is. If you needed more smoking gun evidence, he's got his dad referred to in his laptop as Pedo Pete. He is, there's just so many things from the Hunter Biden laptop, from voicemails, from his bank accounts in terms of, discrepancies about where money's coming and going, and it raising a bunch of red flags. I think I saw a news report the other day that multiple big banks, I'm talking like Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, not like, a regional SVB bank, but like big banks that had Biden accounts had sent letters to the regulatory government agencies that were supposed to be overseeing this saying, hey, there's a lot of irregularities going on with these Biden accounts. Maybe you want to look at them. And yet nobody did. Oh. And so the fact that I don't know if this segment is more of a critique of the two-tier justice system that lets the politically connected off the hook the way it does, or if it's more of an indictment of the media who is supposed to be, right? What is the
Why should it be either or?
What is the Washington Post tagline? Democracy dies in darkness. Your people's job is supposed to be to ask the hard questions, to follow the lead wherever it will take you, to not have a political axe to grind one way or another, and just get the truth to the people so that the people can be intelligent enough, right? Democracy dies in darkness. The people need to be smart enough to know whether they're voting for completely corrupt, terrible, evil, awful, no good, very bad pieces of shit. And yet, complete dereliction of duty is a charitable way to describe what the media has done in covering up for the Biden family, for Biden's entire career, but especially since the 2020 election.
Wow, Dane. And that was during the submarine times, right?
I was starting then, but even then, like the alien stuff was kind of percolating in the background.
Well,
like,
yeah,
witnesses weren't testifying.
It was on the shelf,
right?
But we had other things to do. We were focusing on. They only had 4 days of air, so we got to put a counter up. And by the way, just a slight critique of that. Isn't that morbid a little bit? Taking the imminent doom of somebody and just putting it up on a clock. Hey, remember, those guys are going to die. Watch our program. Watch our program. It's 3.5 hours.
I mean, they did it during the C word years in terms of the death count.
They're all dying. Everyone's dying.
They wanted it higher so that they could keep people tuned in.
It's almost like they just kind of revel in it. If it doesn't bleed, it doesn't lead, right?
I mean, we said at the time, and we stand by it still today, that it is a death cult.
You guys don't really care. You just want to keep those eyes on. So when they were doing this alien crap this week, if the alarm bells didn't trigger in your head during the sub, maybe them hitting you over the head with this stuff woke you up a little bit more to say, hey, maybe something else is going on this week. So did something else go on this week, Dane?
Well, so just to wrap up on the Hunter thing before we get into the SBF thing is, I think at the time that the sub thing was going on, the news broke that Hunter was getting a plea deal. And then now this week, in rather hilarious fashion, Hunter's plea deal has apparently imploded. See what I did there?
Oh, Dane.
You see? Yeah. It's sunk in, but yeah.
Hey, sunk in. Hey, this guy, you can't stop him right now. He's on a roll. What else you got? Watch out, Dane. You might be sleeping with the fishes if you keep insinuating this shit. Oh, I can go all night. You little chum bucket.
So and again, this is just a very brief, this is a multi-hour hearing. So I don't want to be accused of saying like this was 5 minutes, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, but pretty hilarious how it happened. So Hunter Biden's team and the DOJ walk into court and they say, Your Honor, we've reached a plea deal.
Sounds like a good joke setup, by the way.
You know, you judges, you have busy dockets, and so we're going to take one more case off your docket because we've reached a plea deal. We, the DOJ, have agreed to drop all the charges against Hunter. To which the judge replied, so what's in the deal?
What's in the box?
And Biden's attorneys jump in and say, well, Your Honor,
So glad you asked.
The DOJ, totally fairly and not in a two-tiered justice system sort of way, treated Hunter as they would any other common criminal that they set their sights on. And they have said that they're going to drop the charges against him in this case, and they're going to give him some sort of immunity against all prosecutions forever for the rest of his life and anything that he may or may not do illegal in the future. To which the judge replied, DOJ attorney, is that accurate? And the DOJ attorney, of course, needing to save face, said, well, so this investigation's still ongoing. So there is still some hypothetical, really far outside the realm of possibility, but small little minuscule chance that we might charge him again in the future if the investigation, ever gives us the evidence to do so. To then which Hunter Biden's attorneys exploded and said, well, if that's the case, then deal's off. And it went exactly like that for the next couple hours. Which is, this is my favorite thing ever. Right?
Christ.
It's my favorite thing ever because even when the government is trying to collude to get one of their special little, star children off of being in trouble, they can't even do that right. I'll guarantee you, without any inside knowledge of knowing how this happened, I'll bet you it was a 5-minute phone call to which Biden's attorney said, so you guys are dropping these charges, right? And the DOJ is like, yeah, I guess we're going to drop the charges. Okay, handshake over the phone, done deal, nothing in writing. And so, of course, when they get into court and they're pressed on it, neither side has any idea what the hell's going on. And isn't that just a perfect metaphor for government?
Well, at least Joe came out and said he's never done anything or pressured the DOJ in any way. Yeah, at least he said that live on television. So
yeah, and
you can all rest assured he would never, and if he did, he's honest. He was, you know what? I did use my power to get my son out of a fucking situation that he keeps finding himself in, that he's been doing since he was a fucking teenager. I can't seem to fix this kid. I should probably just Hillary Clinton. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, I went off.
And the media. And the media asked Jean-Pierre if Biden would pardon his son on the way out. She's like, no. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, listen.
I thought you weren't answering any family questions, but you can answer that one flat out.
And directly.
And directly.
Not some circuitous, I don't know, maybe I know, maybe I didn't know, I'm not supposed to know, and I'm not supposed to talk about this, so I don't know.
Well, you can always trust her.
Yeah.
Because she's always going to tell you
She always tells the truth. So that's story one that you were supposed to be distracted by with submarines and aliens. And story two happened this week. And
You'll never guess.
Everybody, now not, the self-selected group that tunes into this podcast because you love your two humble co-hosts here. So you would never, hold this against us. But to anybody else, to any newcomers or to any of your friends and family that you told to listen to the podcast and they said, these bastards were wrong, we demand an apology on the FTX SBF thing.
I don't want an apology. We already have the righteous indignation of being right.
So, brief recap for anybody that's new here. A few episodes, well, not more than several episodes ago when the FTX collapse happened and everything like that.
I made a gentleman's wager with you. I think it was just a gentleman's bet. How much you want to bet? I think that's what we said.
Did we pick a number though? I don't know.
I did. Just a gentleman's bet. I think it was a penny.
So when the FTX collapse first happened, David and I went out on a limb ahead of time saying that nothing was going to happen to SBF because he had all the right friends politically. He used FTX to launder money and donate that money to campaigns, primarily of Democrats, but also some choice Republicans.
He helped out Ukraine with it too.
Oh yeah, laundered the money through Ukraine, and in the process of stealing multi-billions of dollars from FTX investors, he pressed all the right flesh and gave the money to all the right people that he would never face any charges. Well, a few weeks went by and he was arrested. And David and I, as the honorable gentlemen we are, said, well, we were wrong. We didn't think SBF would be arrested, but now he was. But we reserved at that time to find out what would be the outcome of SBF's case. And today, we are vindicated, although justice is not. Because prosecutors in his case have decided to not pursue campaign finance charges against FTX. So you remember that very clear line of money where money went into FTX, and then that money was laundered through Ukraine, and then that money was then sent back to American politicians' campaign coffers. So much to the, and it was so direct and blatant, by the way, that several Democrat and I think a handful of Republican representatives who got some of the benefit of those campaign finance dollars actually disgorged themselves of that money. They said, I don't remember how they did it, but they said they were going to give it back because it was so open and obvious that he had transferred stolen funds to specific campaigns. But yet, despite that obviousness, federal prosecutors have decided to drop all charges against SBF with relation to campaign finance charges. Now, he still faces multiple wire fraud and securities fraud charges,
but hey,
so that's still ongoing.
Hey, at least those campaigns, at least those politicians they're in the clear.
Exactly.
Thank God.
Listen, the correct people have been protected. That's
right.
What's important.
I was worried for a second.
So, will SBF get a Hunter Biden-esque sweetheart deal? Will his attorneys actually communicate ahead of the hearing with the government's attorneys to make sure they get their story straight when the judge presses them on the details of the plea? I guess we'll find out. But until further notice, David and I are vindicated because SBF, despite stealing billions of dollars, despite stealing enough money that, if David and I, were a little shady about the $600 we got in a Venmo transaction to the IRS would be facing charges, this guy can steal multi-billions and, charges dropped. It is what it is.
Nothing to see here, folks.
No, aliens.
Excuse me.
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
There's
aliens.
Saw him in the fucking airport, and I did, you son of a bitch. Anyway, inside baseball there. Yeah, but we've got submarines to talk about. We've got aliens that may or may not be coming down. We have Shark Week this week, as we've previously discussed. Maybe somebody's going to get eaten. It's not over yet. Not over yet. Well, by the time you hear this, it will be over, and hopefully somebody got eaten.
Believe me, it will be featured on episode 157 if somebody gets eaten.
It's the first thing I'm leading off. It's like, I might be Jesus. I might be able to see the future. I don't know. I'm not saying definitely worship me, but don't not worship me. Might help out. But anyway, with all that being said, at least we sleuthed this one out, partner. Nothing to worry about. America can sleep safe and sound. Not even a fucking mosquito's going to bite you on the ass now because, God damn it, Joe Biden's running this country like a goddamn well-oiled machine.
You hear the sound of that?
Listen.
Sounds like parts are falling off this thing.
I don't know about that. I don't hear shit.
The whole thing's about ready to explode.
Got this tinnitus or tinnitus.
But you know what? As it explodes, if you keep listening and watching WMD podcasts, and more importantly, well, probably not more importantly, because we appreciate all your eyes and ears, if you're getting your friends and family to also tune in their eyes and ears.
Yeah, maybe we should figure out how to groom people to this podcast.
Yeah.
So we don't be racist.
Anybody got any ideas on that?
Hey, let's groom some bitches.
Yeah.
Let's, we can talk. The whole time I was just thinking, like, I always thought grooming was just combing your hair and brushing your teeth.
And it was once upon a time.
Shaving your face.
Pre-CERN non-crazy land, it's exactly what it was.
That's all I was doing. I was grooming myself back in the day.
All those brilliant physicists over there so obsessed with whether they could, not with whether they should.
Apparently, when I turned 13, I started doing the today's grooming right around then.
It's terrible.
I was ahead of my time. Anyway, Dane, where can they find this illustrious episode 156 at?
156 can be found at wmdpodcast.com/156. They can get the audio only on any podcast catcher. Just search Weapons of Meme Destruction. You can get the video on YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey. And you can link up with us on our non-podcast related other platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, private members only Facebook page at $5 a month or more of support. Go to wmdpodcast.com, support our work tab to figure out how to do that. But also, please, down in the links in the comments, you will find the link to our merchandise store. So we're putting new stuff in there all the time: shirts, mugs, shower curtains, you name it, anything to make this podcast a buck. Go buy some merch at the store. But listen, for you already paid subscribers, we're going to have a little something coming your way soon. Once we get some more stuff in the store, we're going to send you links personally to thank you for your long support of the show, for being in at the ground level.
How are we going to do that, Dane?
And we have their emails because they support us.
Do we have their phone numbers as well?
No. But we're going to get to that. Just
Okay,
I know you're thinking I forgot. And we're going to ask you, hey, pick something out at the merch store, and we're going to send it your way free of charge. Just pay for shipping, because we want to thank you for all the support that you've given us thus far. But you can also, all of the other ways to stay in contact with the show, which are just as important as watching the episodes, is go to wndpodcast.com on the homepage, join the email list, because you never know which platform we're going to get nuked off of. So if we do, we will hit that email list up and tell you where we're popping our head up next. The other one is the automated text service. Just text the number 610-596-WMDP or 610-596-9637. You can text anything to that number. You can say hi, you can say your name, you can say David's beautiful, you can say Dane's glasses are crooked. It doesn't matter what you say. As long as you text the number, you will be enrolled into the automated text service list. That will give you the most up-to-date information. When episodes drop, if they're going to be delayed for any reason, like Nameless Faceless Guy decides to take an unauthorized vacation.
Exam went.
We will also put links in that automated text service sometimes for discounts on the merch store and things like that. So that's how you can keep in contact with the show. So do all of those things, but most importantly, like, subscribe, and share on any platform you follow us. And next week, tune in to 157.
What do you think that you want to take a crack at what the next week's subjects are going to be? Dare you?
Wait, what next week's big stories that are supposed to be distracted from, or what the distractions will be?
Let's just go with like a culture corner. Let's just go. What do you think the culture corner is going to be? Because if you had money on men milking men and not through the prostate, again, 2 mentions of the prostate, 2 minutes, not doing bad. You'd have been right on the money.
Yeah, and you're a genius, and we would actually literally give you money
if we had,
if and when we had it.
Right. So I'm gonna go. I mean, babies have already been transgender, so I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna go with Shark Week doesn't have anyone get eaten this week.
And that's low-hanging fruit.
I'm going to say that one senator will be visited by a gray. We'll have a story by a gray.
I like it. Or will claim to have been abducted.
Correct. It's either
whether now or in the past.
You know what? I'm going to double down. I'm going to say that one, like either a representative has had a sexual affair with a gray against its will, or against his will or her will or their
Wait,
will.
The senator did it against the Gray's will?
One of the two. There's going to be a sex scandal between an elected member of our country.
One of the parties did not consent.
Right, exactly. I don't know which way. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm going with that for Culture Corner next week.
Very specific. I like it. I love it. In fact, I love the specificity and the off-the-wallness of it. I'm going with...
That's totally legit. What are you talking about?
I'm going with something a little bit higher probability than that. But we'll see. I think something is going to go down at the Women's World Cup, which is going to be either a shocker or an outrage. It could be another...
No pun intended there or anything like that?
It could... No. It could be another young, healthy, top of her game athlete collapses on the field from a coincidence. Or it will be some, I don't know, terrible thing that gives us more cause to dismantle the patriarchy or some shit like that.
Yeah, fuck the patriarchy.
Mine's not near as fun as yours, but...
Yeah. Well, you go big or you go home.
Something's going to happen, and it's going to be, even though men are like not even allowed within a country mile of anything Women's World Cup related, it's somehow going to be men's fault.
Oh, come on. That's like fucking fish in a barrel with dynamite on that
I
one.
know,
Christ almighty.
I know.
The reason we lost was because we didn't get enough support by the men in this country. That's the title. God,
See, I could have said something like the U.S. women's national team is going to lose a game. Like that's boring.
No fun. Anyway,
I'm saying like a male streaker is going to streak across the field.
Like you're 80%,
and it's going to be like this is what's wrong with like the patriarchy.
This is an 80% chance. I've got like a 0.5% chance.
I know yours is much better.
If I
stole my thunder.
If I nail it, I might be Jesus, or at least Deadpool. Anyway, until next week, my friends, stay safe, but more importantly, stay free.